There's a Christian author whose name is Dave Simmons, and Dave Simmons has two children, Helen and Brandon, who are fully grown now. But in one of his books, he tells a story about when Helen was 8 and Brandon was 5. He said he had taken them to the shopping mall in one of the shopping malls in Mississippi. And outside the shopping mall that day was a traveling petting zoo. A petting zoo that would travel around from city to city. This used to be a thing. And they would set up at shopping malls and offer to entertain the kids for a very small fee so the parents could go and get their shopping done. So when Dad saw that, he thought it sounded really great to him. The kids could be entertained and he could get his shopping done. He could go into Sears and look at power tools. This kind of shows you how long ago that was. Sears doesn't exist anymore. So when he saw it, he tossed his kids each a quarter, because that's how much the petting zoo was the last time it was in town. He sent them on their way, and then he went to Sears to look at power tools. And as he was looking at power tools, it wasn't long, a couple of minutes before Helen, his daughter, came running to him, crying, sobbing, and he said, "What's wrong, dear?" And she said, "Daddy, it costs 50 cents. It cost 50 cents. And I gave my quarter to Brandon so that he could get in, because the Bible says that if you love someone, you have to do something to show them. And so I gave him my money." Sad face. And Dad happened to have another 50 cents in his pocket. And after he finished up looking at the power tools, they walked together toward the petting zoo. And they got to the petting zoo, they got to the fence, and they saw Brandon having just the time of his life. And do you know what Dad did then? Nothing. Nothing. He did not give her the money, and she didn't ask for it. They just sat there watching Brandon have a good time with all the animals that Helen loves so much. But he never gave her the money. Do you know why? Because love, at least the type of love that Jesus tells us to imitate, isn't really love unless it involves a sacrifice. A sacrifice. You know, this is how people will know that you are my disciples, Jesus said to his disciples. He said, if you love one another, but of course he said you have to love like his. And if it doesn't involve a sacrifice, then it's not really love like his, and there wouldn't be anything all that special about it, and Jesus really wouldn't be any different than anybody else in this world who tries to get you to follow him. But just look at him and tell me if there is anything special about him. Just look at his tears in the garden the night that he was betrayed, sweating drops of blood because he's filled with so much anxiety and overwhelmed about what is going to happen, thinking about us and our salvation. You know, watch him just picture him gritting his teeth every time another nail is pounded in, telling himself not to scream and not to stop it from happening. Watch him snap his neck to the side every time the whip rips more skin off his back. And picture him hanging in agony as his muscles are fatigued and his heart is literally breaking because it is under so much pressure from everything that's happening inside his body. And try to convince me that you have ever seen another love like his. A love that will sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice, to give and to give and to give and to give. Love like Jesus involves a sacrifice. It always will. And that's what it always is. And sometimes giving that type of love is a very hard thing, especially when people don't reciprocate it, especially when people don't appreciate it, especially when people don't respond to it. But the reason Jesus did it anyway is because he wanted to give this world something to respond to. In this world that is so dark, that is so hard to love, that is so void of love so often, he wanted to give us one place where the light of God's love is always shining, one place which we could always look and see that love will truly overcome. And whatever you have to sacrifice, whether it's your time, your energy, your pride, your feeling of being right, whatever it is that you have to sacrifice in order to show that love to someone, just know that God sees it. He understands how hard that is. And he assures you that whatever we sacrifice for others, his sacrifice for us will always be more. Whatever we give for others, he will always give more. Whatever crosses we carry to follow him, the cross that he carries will always be bigger. All to assure you that it won't get the best of you. It won't get the best of you. His love will always overcome. His love will always lead. No matter what he has to sacrifice, he will. He will. And he just might make you, or use you, to make a powerful difference in this world that so desperately needs to see him.
Do you struggle to find time to connect with God? Well, click here to subscribe to our daily email. We'll make sure that you hear about God's promises, His love, and His amazing word.